The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 17th day of October, 2023. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Perry Ferber, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Miss P, you're back again. You didn't leave us.
What was that?
You didn't leave us.
No, I'm still here. Week 2.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it. You know, sometimes, Maya scares people off, so I just want to make sure, you stuck around.
Maya does not scare people off.
Okay, maybe. Trust me. So how's things going? What you been up to for the last week? How was your weekend?
Weekend was pretty quiet. I keep my weekends nice and quiet if I don't have to work, because the weeks are pretty hectic. Hands on a lot of different things. So yeah, nice and steady.
All right. Sounds good. I like when people say they had a quiet weekend. We were talking about yesterday, I believe, that I spoke to a couple people this weekend and they were just busy going. I'm like, people work all week, want to relax on the weekend, and they end up doing just as much work. But rest is important.
I know, especially on a Sunday.
Yeah. The only work I had to do on Sundays was go to Sunday school and then, do the church thing afterwards. That's the only thing I used to have to do.
I mean, but church can be a whole thing, especially if people serve on their, they're early, they're after service, and then they blink and it's back to work. So I go in and I come out and bye. See you next week Sunday.
Church was pretty good though. I mean, all you had to do is go to Sunday school and wait on everybody else.
Yeah.
And then Nana's mints, there's mint she used to get you to keep you quiet.
Real loud in church, crackling and cackling.
Yeah. Man, us Bermudians have some unique childhood experiences, don't we?
I think that's the Black culture in general, because a lot of my friends outside of Bermuda have had the same experience with Black church.
Yeah.
Look, when I started to go to an alternative church when I lived in Toronto, so different. It was like a rock band. They were very concise. You were in and out. It was different, and I was like, okay, it's a different way to do this. Okay. I wasn't mad at it.
Partying on a Sunday morning, real quickly, I'm actually got on long sleeves for the first time in the season. I went out for my jog this morning. It was in the 50s in South Florida.
I wish it was in the 50s in Bermuda. This humidity is taking us out. Okay, I'm had enough.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them people that like the heat. Okay, I need that. I'm a spring baby. I need that in between weather, not too hot, not too cold. This is the middle of October. Why is it this hot?
I'm an autumn guy. I prefer some cool weather myself. So I'm with you on that. I'm with you. Well, greetings everyone. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Jessica Lightbourne on. We're discussing how we can support women in leadership. I think I was like, you're gonna love this one, ain't you?
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, supporting women in leadership. The daily play is a remember when. I think you got the daily play last week. You said Muhammad.
I sure did.
Yeah. So let's see if we trick her up this week, folks. It's a remember when. So a bit of history. See if she gets the year right. That's a hint. Don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow Beyond the Mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. But let's just jump right into it. So firstly, there has been there's tons of things we could discuss on this show on a daily basis. A lot of people were sending me clips of, I think Maya may have interviewed Malachi Simons recently. I think she did. But he was on the front page of the Daily yesterday, basically saying he's given up his farm. I honestly, personally, will have to go back and watch Maya's story and read that so that we can have a conversation on it. Another thing people have been asking, hey, you guys going to talk about Morgan's Point? And apparently what happened was last week, former tourism minister Michael Fay had written another op-ed. I don't know if he's trying to get back in the game or whatnot, but he's been writing a lot lately. And you all know how I feel about him and most politicians, actually. But what's that saying? Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Sure.
I actually thought, his latest op-ed, some things made sense. And so it got me thinking, Perry, like, you know what? We're always discussing what can we do? Bermuda's out of land. We can't do this, can't do that. And it got me thinking personally when people were writing me is maybe Morgan's Point can be something that we're all looking for, right? Maybe instead of what we want it to be, this big grand luxury hotel, why don't we move cruises over to there? Then there was earlier this year, the government revealed, I believe in the national budget, building 101 residential units. Folks, I don't know if you've ever been to Morgan's Point, but it's a lot of land up there, right? It's a lot of land. So the question of the morning is, what do you believe is the best option for Morgan's Point? What do you believe is the best option? Michael Fay says that we should send the cruises there instead of dockyard. I mean, most islands actually have sections where cruise ships go. Some people agree with the government's 101 units. Some people think, no, we should finish building a hotel. What are your thoughts? What do you believe is the best option for Morgan's Point?
I think that it could be a hybrid, actually, of both of those ideas, truthfully, because so there's a lot of things that come into play with it being just a cruise ship hub. We want to make sure environmentally that makes sense, because we are seeing a little bit of wear and tear environmentally with the two ports as it is, just cruise ships are not the best for our aquatic system. So, we want to make sure that that makes sense, in an ecological way. But we see in a lot of spaces where tourists and residents kind of dwell in the same places. And I honestly am here for that, because when I worked in retail, I used to encounter customers all the time looking for an authentic Bermudian experience. I think so many times this government in particular likes to separate them. And even some of our older Bermudians, they're like, oh, don't go to Court Street, or don't go here, don't go this, and that's what tourists are looking for. For the most part, they want an authentic experience. If they're coming to this island, what does this island have to offer, and how does it differ from any of the other islands that we might see on this cruise? Or, you know what I mean? So I think a hybrid of both would be really great. Like the proposed, I think it was in February, the proposed plan that the government put in was like, it had like a shopping complex and, space for seniors. And then what was it, 150 residential units? Like if it could be a blend of both, it's going to be new. Like, why not?
I agree with you. I like the way you think, the hybrid. It doesn't have to be one way or the other. Like you said, most people who are coming to Bermuda, they want to engage with the locals. I remember I had people come to Bermuda one time and they're like, this is the first island I've been to where locals actually come to the hotels and sit off at a bar or eat at the restaurants. I'm like, that's one of the things that makes Bermuda unique. But the first point you touched on is something that I don't think, it goes over most people's heads. There is an eco situation here.
Yeah.
And we have to be very careful. I know many people have said for years, and it's true, that cruise ship visitors don't spend money. They just genuinely don't put money into the economy.
Mm-hmm. Anywhere, though.
Anywhere. Like not just Bermuda, but if you have an all-inclusive on the boat, right? Why are you going to go to dinner on land knowing that dinner?
Cruise ships are not cheap to sail a week. You know how much money that is?
Exactly. And they're not. And the kind of cruise ships Bermuda's trying to focus on as well, like, go higher end. not necessarily have yet, but they're trying. But it just makes sense for them. We need to be very strategic in how we place it. So I think at one point, I don't know if they've done it yet, folks. Let me know if you know, but Ritz-Carlton was supposed to be releasing a cruise ship line, I believe.
Okay.
To me, that cruise ship line and those 101 residential units, if they're luxury, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Right? They would make sense together. And to me, you're creating its own town or city.
Mm-hmm.
You're creating jobs for people up there. I love the hybrid model, but I don't think we should go too far one way or the other.
I agree. I really feel like if we are going to see cruise ship goers and we're going to see their dollars, we have to give them an authentic experience that encourages them and incentivizes them to spend. You know, like I know, like if I'm going to, I don't know, the first place that's coming to my mind is Barcelona. I want some paella because I'm in Barcelona. You know what I mean? Like I've said so many times, be it on Twitter or in meetings, we need to have a shop that sells codfish and potato, not you get it from somebody's auntie around the club. You know what I mean? We need to have a location that sells this and farine pie and all of the things. I mean, farine pie is farine and cassava are on other islands, but we have our own little take on it.
Right.
Have a place that sells these things where tourists can come. And, you know, I just watched a TikTok. A lot of people are traveling to Japan this year, right? I don't know what that's about. But I watched this guy just yesterday. He showed up on my For You page and he had a long list of all of the Japanese cuisine that he has seen and that he wanted to try. Can't get that nowhere else. And then he was speaking about the specific things that he had in Canada that tasted authentic in Japan because that's where it originated. So we speak a lot about Bermuda not having culture. We do, you know, let's package it, you know, not just the gumbays, because lots of islands have their take on the gumbays, you know. So let's have our version or our cuisine on display and, you know, monetize it, capitalize on it. So then we can see those dollars not just on the cruise ship, but, you know, in our economy.
What you said, other islands have pretty much the same things, but our take on it.
Yeah.
You know, we both of us have spent plenty of time off island, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that time, you know, when you're around other Bermudians, it's tough because some Bermudians I've been around, well, Bermuda doesn't have any culture. We do.
We do. It's very unique. We are a blend of so many different places, but that blend, what it's created, is a culture. And I get very offended when people say that we don't. It's right in the way that we speak, in the way that we dress. Bermudians are some of the most well-dressed islanders I have ever seen, because if you go to other islands, they don't dress like us. We have a little bit of sophistication to us, a little bit of edginess. Like Cut Match is my favorite time of year because you get to see all of our creativity on display. That's culture, you know, the way that we greet each other. I remember when I first moved to Toronto, I got on the bus, I said, "Good morning," and everyone just looked at me.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, our culture is how we exist, and there is a way to capitalize on that if we really want to, in an authentic way that doesn't exploit the country. There is a way to do it. You just need to hire the right people, and that's what
reminds me when I moved to New York. I'll never forget saying good morning and somebody, "What you say?" Like they wanted to fight me, but So what do you believe is the best option for Morgan's Point, folks? Monica Dunstan says, I'd like them to include some green spaces, parks, and rack type areas. That's, we definitely need green spaces.
We do.
Suzanne Ingham, sorry, I keep saying Ingham. Suzanne Ingham says, morning, can't we make it a big garden, big enough to provide food for our entire island, employ our own to run it? Well, I mean, as long as it's not a government's hands. What I would like to see, you know how you go to those markets in outside of Bermuda, and it's like different small businesses like in those markets, like market malls, small town markets. I would love to see, a bunch of farmers, different farmers being able to have space in a green space to grow their crops, right?
Yeah. I like that suggestion, but I have problems with it just from an economical standpoint. Like, I don't think it will generate enough money. We need it. Let me just be clear. Like, we need that. But there has to be a way that it is financially worth it, because people already don't have money, right? So the produce would have to be reasonably priced. And then all year, certain things can't grow. Like, it makes sense, but we would just have to figure it out. A lot of places, like major cities, they actually have gardens on the top of their buildings, which I think we can also incorporate for space. You know, like larger cities, when they don't have a space, they're quite gridlocked in. They have gardens on the top of skyscrapers. We can do that. All these buildings in town, we can have gardens in a lot of different places. But I think the element that she mentioned, which is key, is for the entire island, because we need that. We definitely need that. If we can import less, then
Indeed. What do you believe is the best option for Morgan's Point, folks? I'm stuck. Hold on, Perry, before we move on. I'm trying to think what was the first city. It may have been when I was living in New York, where they had gardens up top. But I think we have to get to a space where we understand we can turn any open space into a garden. It doesn't have to be a big open spot. But I like the idea either way of creating some green space up there. And I remember like 15 years ago, I was like, maybe this was the immaturity in me, but I'm just like, can we get rid of like one golf course and have some green space? Well, we've gotten rid of a few since then, and we've built on them. So not what we were looking for. Michelle White says, what about bed and breakfast style housing at Morgan's Point and boost up the one-way seat travel to Bermuda, a sail and stay program? They could fly back or get on the next ship out. I like that idea.
Yeah, it encourages them to spend money here.
So are you saying a bunch of bed and breakfast style houses that different people own, or are you saying part of one company, Michelle? I like the idea. I do like that. Do you enjoy bed and breakfast style, Perry?
I don't. I'm a little bougie. I can't lie. I've kind of come into my own, and I won't be shamed for it. So that's not my vibe. But I will say, I'm not opposed to them. Like when you think about like Tuscany and like those far out places that have that kind of, is the word rural? Like, where you're like in the vineyards, and like I would do it there. But just like for a regular stay, I like luxury, and a lot of people do, and that's kind of like the narrative that's being pushed on people. So you want to go with what sells in an authentic way. Because that's what's going to make you money. Sorry, I'm a business head, so you got to do what's going to make you money.
No, she said it, but we have to think of what's going to generate income. Let's be honest. Safe space. The country is broke. So whatever we do with that space has to ensure, there's some sort of income tied to it. Like people are going to make money. Again, question of the morning, folks, is what do you believe is the best option for Morgan's Point land up there? Again, the government suggested earlier this year, they said 101 residential units. Originally, it was supposed to be a Ritz-Carlton when the space was announced, and they got financed and they started building those fractional units. Michael Fay, former tourism minister last week, said we should take the cruises over there. What are your thoughts? What would you suggest to your MPs and government? Suzanne Ingham says that would work too, and parks. And we have Bobby Painter says, what does the structure of Morgan's Point look like?
It's a blank canvas right now.
Yeah, like the only thing there right now is those things that weren't completed. And that's only a small bit of the property, like probably like a pinky finger of the property, but it was those fractional units they began building. So it's just open land. And I'm glad she said this. Because a lot of people haven't seen it. It's a lot of land up there, folks. If you ever go up, where's the best place to see it? If you ever go up Fairmont, Southampton, up top of the hill there, you can get a good view of it. It's a lot of land out there. And I think we need to be intelligent, like smart, to see how can we make the most of the little that we have. And the reason I say the little that we have, when I was working in Bermuda tourism, one of the things that people used to always say is Bermuda is so mature, there's nowhere else to build new properties. Whereas Turks and Caicos, they've got space to build this, that, and the other, right? Other places have so much green space. We don't. And that space has just been sitting and sitting. Now, I'm not saying it has to be a hotel. I'm not saying it has to be anything I'm suggesting. What we're doing this morning is brainstorming to see it could be everything that we've discussed, everything, because it's so much space, right?
And I think that if the government had an ear to the streets, it would be wise to kind of question the public, like, what would you like to see there? Do a little focus group or a few focus groups. I mean, big companies do it all the time, just to find out, okay, how can we better produce this product to meet the needs of the people to get money in our pockets? So that same structure, why can't the government do that if they haven't already? I don't know if they have, but find out from the public and then sift through the ideas and see what sticks, or make it a hybrid, like we've been saying, of a bunch of different ideas.
That sounds easy though. And I'm not being facetious. I'm just saying that sounds too easy to literally ask the people, what do they think it should be?
Sometimes the answer is right in front of your face, right?
Sorry. What are your thoughts on this one? Bobby Painter says, can it be built like the Bermudian experience, like a shopping village?
So that's what they're proposing. Back in February, there was the article, I think when the budget was released, the premier mentioned something to that effect. And I think that that's a great idea. It will provide housing and it will have a shopping village that will be open to the public. And then I think he mentioned senior housing, which is always, needed. So I'm thinking that it can be a cruise ship hub and that, because then I think it just marries the visitors with the public. And they need that cultural immersion. I'm here for that. So if we can figure out a way to make that work, the only kind of concern I have there would be the seniors, but we can kind of build their units away from the action, There are ways. There are always ways.
Let's go back to the audience before we bring Maya in. What do you believe is the best option for Morgan's Point? Sean DeShield says, maybe a multi-use convention center to host larger group events.
I don't know. I'm still I'm gonna probably get a lot for this, but I'm still holding out hope for the convention center that we do have.
Oh, from Southampton?
Yeah. It's still there. It's not burned down yet. Like, we have it. We do. And in
I think we all agree it needs to be reopened. I just think folks are like, at what cost, right?
We have that. It's gonna need a little work. It's been sitting for 3 years, but we have that.
Yeah. And all right, so let's go through these last few and then bring Maya in. Charles H. Jeffs II says, one big issue that will need to be overcome is that the government doesn't own all of the land there. They need to work together for Bermuda's benefit, as I believe that that has the most potential. And then Sam Cat Place says, just make sure those who designed the hospital are not the architects, because it'll be a waste of space. And then Michael Daniels said, talk to West End Properties. They have the funding. Well, there's the folks. All right, folks, let's bring Maya Palacio in for the news break. I wonder if Maya has any idea. Something tells me, I'm judging right now. Something tells me she's going to say something with the arts, or not. Let's see. Let's bring Maya Palacio in for the Daily Hour news break. And after that, we have Jessica Lightbourne. We're talking about how to support women in leadership, folks. Great conversation coming up. Stick with us.
Good morning. Good morning.
Greetings. How are you?
Good. You put too much faith in me, because I honestly don't even know what to put there, really. Like, I haven't really given it much thought to ask the question this morning. I was just like, I don't know. Like, what do we really need right now in Bermuda that won't take up space and just leave us, because like there's so many things that have tried and kind of failed. So like, what do we need? And just have been left abandoned.
Yeah, and this goes back to what Perry said. It's like, we have these conversations every morning. And I'm not saying we're the Bible or the, go-tos and know-hows, but honestly, I think it would do the government well to really engage the people of Bermuda to see what they believe will benefit the country and themselves with this. I don't know. I just think including the people in this process, because many people, even Bobby Painter says she hadn't given it thought. You haven't given it thought. When people feel a part of a process, they actually tend to give it thought and tend to, maybe say, you know what, maybe this is an idea that we should try. So.
and want to be involved too. If their input is considered, that's just like that belonging that every single person needs. Maslow's hierarchy. Like if someone feels like their points are being heard, they're going to want to be involved. That's just psychology.
Indeed. Ownership, right? Sense of ownership.
Yep.
Yeah.
What you got for us today, Maya?
Well, good morning, everyone. This is the Daily Hour News Break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Starting out the news this morning, so we know that last month the government of Bermuda was a victim of a cyber attack, while the Honorable Premier David Bright had a press conference the other day updating the island on the process, or more likely the steps that are taken to resolve the issue of the attack. So I clipped together some of the main important pieces from this press conference, and here's what the Premier had to say.
The scale of this attack was unprecedented and not comparable to previous cyber attacks that the government of Bermuda had experienced. As stated previously, not all government systems were impacted during this attack. Some of this was due to the structure of our network, where some systems are isolated, and the rest was due to the execution of the existing cyber response plan, where all systems are taken offline to reduce the opportunity for any malicious programs to spread through our IT infrastructure. The forensic review of the attack and its impact continues, but there has not been a forensic confirmation of the exfiltration of data. Notwithstanding the fact that this has not been forensically confirmed, there is circumstantial evidence that data may have been taken, and we're working on that assumption with the government's privacy team to ensure that impacted parties can be notified. In the wake of this incident, our teams within IDT have implemented new tools to further strengthen our security posture to greatly reduce the possibility of such an incident happening in the future. The government's target for full restoration of all services and all departments and persons is the end of this week.
My only hope is that people's data was not breached and that they already are working on solutions to ensure that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, they said that they are, and if you listened in just now, it mentioned some potentialities of that, so that they're just trying to figure out where they are at that level with that and to contact those who they see necessary.
I will leave my assumptions in my head.
Alrighty. Well, next up in the news break this morning, an 18-year-old man was arrested and a quantity of suspected illegal drugs recovered by police over the weekend. So officers conducted traffic searches near the junction of Union Street and Parsons Road. This happened on Saturday, the 14th of October at around 11:30 p.m. And they signaled a motorcycle rider to stop, but the rider ignored the officers and rode in a dangerous manner along Parsons Road before entering the city of Hamilton. Officers followed the subject, who made his way to Bull's Head Park, and then he abandoned his bike and eventually was arrested when he tried to attempt to leave the area on foot. The subject was searched and found to be in possession of several small twists of containing suspected cannabis and cannabis resin, a scale, a quantity of cash, as well as a knife. A suspected search of the man's residence resulted in the recovery of a quantity of suspected controlled drugs as well, and drug equipment and cash, and he's expected to be in court in due course.
Yeah, last stories like that.
I have the same response, like, whoa. Okay, well,
that happened. Next up in the news, the Regulatory Authority of Bermuda announces the appointment of Don Fergo as the new Director of Communications and Stakeholder Engagement. In his role, Mr. Fergo will be responsible for crafting and executing a comprehensive communication strategy rooted in the RA's core vision and objectives. Fergo's experience for effective communication, combined with his profound connection to Bermuda, they say, will make him an ideal candidate to lead the RA's communication and stakeholder engagement efforts.
Well, I mean, I wonder if he had a party now that he's on the BTA, but what a time to join the RA. What a time.
You need to stop.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. No, but I love that. I actually read that story this morning, and I think it's great when we highlight when people are moving up, especially in the communications space, because we seem to lack that so often. So I'm here for that.
No, seriously, big up to Don. We had breakfast together last December, and I really hope that again, entering the RA at this time with all the stuff going on, Belco and the rates. I mean, props to you, bro. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Agreed. Well, in our sports related news, we all know that the Pan Am Games is coming up in October 20th. I hope you know, because I'm constantly talking about the Pan Am Games and our athletes who will be traveling out there very soon. We have 11 athletes representing Bermuda, and I've had the very honor and privilege to interview quite a bit of them. Well, my next interview coming up is with someone that you definitely have seen on the show before, but he's going up for his second Pan Am Games, and he's the only runner in Bermuda to have run a sub 4-minute mile, and that is Dej Miner. So here's a quick cut of some of the things we talked about in our interview.
I finally got to a place where I finally feel like I'm doing this for myself. And in the past, I wasn't always doing that. I was doing it for other people, whether positive or negatively, right? Like, kind of had this like unnecessary chip on my shoulder that, 19, 20, 21-year-old, I think worked, but now at like 27, going 28, like it's not really necessary anymore. So yeah, I guess that's the consistency has just been the enjoyment and the fulfillment. The person that went in 2019 and the person that's going in 2023 would not even be able to talk to each other, right? And then physically, like I'm now, when I look back at that time, what my personal best was in there now, like that's a world away, right? Looking at almost 7-8 seconds faster in this time wrong, right? So physically and mentally, like that's two different people, right? But it's still me, so I would say that's part of the big difference.
Maya just had to say sub 4-minute mile, and here I am. If I get sub 10 minutes cheering like I'm Dej Miner, and it's incredible, man. Like it's incredible. It's incredible, seriously. And I wish him all the best. I think we're all rooting for Dej. He's a good person, genuinely a good person.
It's been incredible to watch his journey. Definitely. So we're cheering him on for real.
Yeah. Dej will be running in the 1500 meters. So really exciting stuff. He's already had quite an incredible year for 2023, getting his bronze medal at the CAC Games as well. So like we're wishing him the best and fingers crossed. The interview will be out later this evening on media-mile.com, on my YouTube channel as well. And one thing I will say in this interview, he tells a story at the end about his former coach, because he recently switched to a new coach. And it is probably the funniest story I've heard in a while, and it'll lighten your heart. So definitely you want to like tap into that and watch it.
Cool.
Also, and today for the weather, we're looking at sunny periods and a few showers still around, mainly in the early and kind of late midday. And we got a high of 80 degrees Fahrenheit.
All right, thank you so much for that. Hey, I'll bring the cool weather up to Bermuda when I come later.
Just a touch. We don't need it cold. Just not this hot.
Just cool. You got any days of the year for us, Ms. P?
I do. So today is Forgive an Ex Day. I feel like forgiveness is for the person giving the forgiveness. So, I think that should give some people a little bit of encouragement that even if that person did you dirty, you're giving the forgiveness for yourself. I have a little excerpt here from Lewis B. Smead. He said, "Forgiving does not erase the bitter past. A healed memory is not a deleted memory," and I'm all here for that. Instead, forgiving what we cannot forget creates a new way to remember. We change the memory of our past into a hope for our future. And I like that because it kind of highlights like you don't need to let it go, but you need to let it go. And I like that.
Maya, you're laughing a lot. Do you have an action?
Who feels it knows it. Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Who feels it knows it. No, I feel like I've forgiven almost anyone that's like, maybe have done me wrong or something. Because again, it is for yourself. Like I'm not thinking about that. I'm not losing any sleep over that.
Forgive your exes. Let go. If not for them, it's for you. I like that one actually. It's fun.
Always for you, because who cares about them?
But you just heard Dej. You just heard Dej. He's doing this for him now, right? Folks, Maya, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
All right, folks. Do not go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break. Coming back with Jessica Lightbourne immediately following this, supporting women in leadership. This is going to be an awesome conversation. If you don't believe me, just watch. Stick with us.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's. I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level.
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field. Number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Perry Ferbert, I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Don't forget to subscribe on our website and follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us go beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. And folks, if you appreciated this morning's discussion, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like, wherever you're watching, tuned in, or listening. All right, without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day. Let's give a warm TDH welcome to Jessica Lightbourne. We're talking about supporting women in leadership. Let's go. Calm down.
Morning.
Greetings. How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah,
I'm excited to be here, and this is a big deal for me being here with you. I've watched you, and to be on the other side of the screen is very exciting.
I'm glad because Perry's usually a bit nervous, so
I said to you before, I'm nervous-sighted. It's the same physiology as excitement is the same physiology as fear. So nervous-sighted.
Nervous-sighted. I'm going to say that.
Yes, feel it.
We all get nervous doing this, But no, first, honestly, thank you for doing it. It's kind of early, but tell the audience a bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, so I am a leadership, I'm an executive leadership and lifestyle coach. I really work with people to get themselves out of their own way a lot of the time, right? And so I really work with people so that they unlock their power. So I take people from the VP to the C-suite, but I also take people from, subject matter experts into leadership positions. I believe that everybody is a leader. Ultimately, we're the leaders of our lives. And what differentiates people who are leading their lives to people who are then leading people is a level of self-management. So I support people so that they can manage themselves, manage their relationships in a way that they might not have otherwise. And really, honestly, I'm passionate about bringing dignity and joy to work. So a lot of the work that I do has to do with giving people a sense of worthiness so that they can relate to themselves as leaders, and especially women. My passion is empowering Black women. As a Black woman myself, I struggled for many, many years of being a wallflower, of feeling unworthy, not relating to myself as a leader. And, I lost a couple of decades because I didn't. And so because of that, now that I know the power of coaching and what that looks like. So basically a coach is someone who is not an advisor. I do that too, leadership development. So I come as an expert when I'm doing leadership development. But a coach really comes to leaders as partners, as somebody who is a strategic thinker, who is a mirror, who is a co-brainstormer, somebody who is there as your teammate. And so, as you already know, you can go a lot further, a lot faster when you have a team. And so that's what I do. I create team and I create power through that.
Nice.
That's so incredible. You focused in on women and specifically Black women. Why is it so necessary for women specifically to have support in leadership?
Well, I mean, you just have to look. I mean, look at the media. If you look at any board of directors, if you look at any any media, you see that there is a scarcity, of women, and of course, a scarcity of people of color. So I always want to make sure that we, in any conversation when we're thinking about leadership and women, we also bring in the intersectionality of it and those systems of oppression. It's important because women have been oppressed. It's important because Black women have been oppressed. It's important because we are powerful and we haven't had a seat at the table, and we haven't had an ability to use our voice and have the visibility. It's also important because Black women have been holding it down from the beginning of time, and we haven't been getting credit from it. So we've been leading, but we've been leading, away from the table. So it's important for us to now be at the table.
So you touched on a few of the challenges there that we have faced in the kind of vein of support. Can you kind of expand on any other challenges that you have noticed, kind of, to categorize as challenges that women are facing in leadership?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest ones, and I did a little poll before I came on here, but I mean, I just have to look to my clients. One of the biggest ones is being all things to all people. There is, so, people call it work-life balance. I don't really like that term, work-life balance, because I think it's a fallacy. But, when you are a woman, you are all things to all people, and then you end up not having anything left in your cup for yourself. A lot of the struggles with time management and work-life balance is that habit of never saying no, always being everything for everyone else, and then ultimately being depleted at the end of the day, leading to burnout, leading to infecting your teams, actually, when you're showing up burnt out, in fear and anxiety and self-defense and ego because you're doing too much.
Yeah, you're depleted.
Yeah,
I can connect to that. As a woman in business, I've had a business for the last 13 years. That work-life balance does not exist. I like to say that it's what takes priority right now. Is it me? Do I have to do something, or does my business? And I'm not married yet. I don't have kids yet, but I am happy that I'm getting this kind of mental training now, so then I can prioritize what's important once I have extras,
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
And Perry, what I would say is, I'm a recent full-time entrepreneur. I've been doing a lot of this work internally. But what I would say is my business strategy now is my well-being. So I would say always you first, always your well-being first.
That's a part of me.
Yes, that is exactly. And you are the business, right? Just like JC says, I am the business. I'm not a businessman. I am a businessman, right?
So what advice would you give to women who are looking to be in leadership in 2023?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this a lot. I have a lot of advice, but one of the first things I would say is get real, right? Get real, tell the truth about who you are, what your vision is. Even if you don't say it to anyone else, get real with yourself. And if you don't know, get supported around that, right? Hire a coach, get a mentor, go to your pastor. It doesn't have to be a coach, but I'm partial to coaching. But get real, get really clear. What is your vision? What is your mission? What are your values? Get clear on that and get real about it. And then in alignment with that, do the work around your worthiness, because as women, we have been taught that we're not enough, that we have to be something separate from who we are. And so go to therapy, get a coach, work on your worthiness, because a lot of times we as women don't speak because we don't feel that we're worthy. We don't speak because we have been silenced. We don't speak because we've been told we can't speak. I mean, you look at, there's still churches in Bermuda, in the world, where women aren't even allowed to speak. So your voice matters. You matter. Find a way to hone in on that. Yeah. And then finally, I would say, be open to feedback, get curious, work on your emotional intelligence, which includes knowing yourself, managing yourself, being able to read the room, managing relationships, and being empathetic. So self-compassion and compassion to yourself. And especially in this day and age, really working on communication, working on your relationships, because ultimately that's what's going to make you successful. And ultimately you can't lead if you don't have followers. So relationships are ultimately so important in this field.
I want to ask you one more question because you kind of touched on this, but I want to expand on it a little bit more, and that is community. So you talked about it in the sense of getting support, but how important is it for Black women in leadership to be around a community, not just in the support sense, but also kind of like iron sharpening iron? Like, how important is that?
Oh my goodness. Yes. I mean, I'm a natural collaborator, so I kind of stumbled on this gem, which is we cannot thrive without community. We need each other. In fact, my philosophy is we actually are on this earth for community. We're on this earth for connection. As Black women, oh gosh, I could spend a whole hour talking about what it means for Black women to have community and the struggles that we have to really connect and to trust. But once you have it, you have connection to a power that you would never have on your own. It's important to have that space where you can just be.
Yeah.
Without the mask and be able to troubleshoot in a way that, nobody else can relate. Nobody else can relate to being the only one at the table. You need to be able to go and bring people to the table as well, or build your own table, because that's what I'm doing, building my own table. But otherwise, yes, absolutely. I personally have grown in leaps and bounds because iron sharpens iron, because I've been the beneficiary of amazing powerhouses who have partnered with me.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's expanded my network, it's expanded my visibility, and ultimately it's helped me to grow and become I don't know if I can say that word, but become a baddie. Because I'm surrounded by baddies. Well, that word, yes.
Listen, I could have this conversation all day, especially because it is not particularly about community. It's not something that is fostered in our community. And when I say our community, I mean among Black women, because society a lot of times pits us together. Like, well, you're doing this, but she's doing it better. And then it's like this kind of inadequacy that you don't naturally have, but it is kind of placed on you to kind of make you do more. And that kind of speaks to everything you've covered today. And community is so important, because once you find your tribe, you feel unstoppable, because not everyone can relate to your experience. And it's important to have people who see you, who aren't secretly jealous or secretly competing, or because all of those things exist, where they can be like, wow, Jessica is good at this. I'm going to acknowledge that she is good at this. That doesn't take from anything that I'm doing. She's good at this, and I am good at this. And even if we're good at the same things, we're good at them differently. 100%. And I love that you have this space where people can be strengthened in their strengths, or be aware of their strengths to, capitalize on it. Because I feel like we all have a purpose, and lots of people leave this earth without.
100%. I was about to do that, right? Like I was about to, leave all of this on the wayside because I didn't feel worthy, and because I didn't have the skills, and because I didn't relate to myself as a leader. Wow. But absolutely, I'm grateful for my tribe. I'm grateful for the baddies that I get to work with. And I'm excited to do that.
I have a concern. I do have a concern. We'll go to the comments, and folks, you can keep your questions and comments coming. I'll definitely get to them. My concern is, it's like I gave Barack Obama last week. We had Ms. Swainson, who's the new head at BHS, right? First woman of color there. And, she spoke about how she's broken barriers throughout her career, being the first and the like. My concern after George Floyd in 2020 was that Black women were getting opportunities, but the opportunities they were getting almost minimized who they were. And what I mean by that is, here's this new VP of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Like, Black women could be the CFO, the CEO. It doesn't have to be the DEI position. What are your thoughts on the kind of leadership positions that Black women are getting, though? Because let's
oh my gosh, yes, I think that's so true. I would say that and then you have these women, mostly women, Black women, but not just, in these positions of chief diversity officer, and then are leaving because really a lot of the companies, it was a knee-jerk reaction, it was lip service, but there wasn't true, it was a reaction. It was reactionary rather than a true commitment to diversity and inclusion. And absolutely, you're right. First of all, Black women aren't the only, I absolutely support Black women in that role. But yes, you're absolutely right. That's not the only role. And when you do see that, when you see that as the only position that a Black woman holds in the organization, it leads me to question the true commitment. I believe that that's usually just giving lip service to it. And so what I would do is look at the whole board of directors. What other positions are people holding? And so one of the things about in Bermuda, I think that I'm excited about is you are seeing more people of color, men and women, mostly men, but men and women in other chief roles. And I'm really privileged to say that I have worked with a lot of particularly Black men. Unfortunately, I can't think of any Black woman right now who's gotten to that chief level, but worked with a lot of Black men who have been VPs and then have become chiefs. And so it's happening. It's not happening fast enough, but it is happening.
Forgive me. The lady at Athene, I forget her name. She's been on the show recently. She's the CEO. Is it Kathy? Someone? She's at AIG. She's the CEO, Black woman. Forgive me, audience. They both on the show, but
yeah. So, like I said, it's happening. I mean, I didn't have the privilege of coaching her, but it is happening. It's happening. It's happening faster than it ever has before. It really is our time. I think that's what's so exciting about this is it is our time, and that's why this coaching relationship is so valuable. Is because the iron is hot. Let's go.
Let's go to some comments. Lavon Johnson says, it's not easy being an entrepreneur. I'm so glad to see you taking this on. Jessica, congratulations and blessings to you and your business. Michael Daniels has a question. He's asking, how important is knowing what your gift is?
Oh, so important. I love that question. It's so important. And honestly, one of the things that kind of makes me want to cry, makes me want to despair is a lot of the times we have a gift, we hide it, we are ashamed of it. We've been told that it's something that is not valuable. So for example, for me, I'm a very sensitive person. And for a long time, I took that as something to be ashamed of. And now I understand that actually what that means is I'm passionate. It means that my superpower is empathy. It means that I know when the storm is coming before anyone else does. And so it's so important to know what your gift is. It's so important to know what your purpose is. And, one of the privileges I have is I get to support women and men. But mostly, as I said, my passion is Black women to sometimes even uncover what their gifts are. And sometimes that's to do with understanding what your shadow self is, what your inner child is, what that part of you that you hide is, oftentimes is the gift.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nachika Trott says, we have witnessed a dynamic shift where women are not just occupying leadership roles, but excelling and making significant contributions across various sectors. And I couldn't agree. Our determination, resilience, and innovative approaches are reshaping businesses, governments, communities, and every facet of society. And that's true. We are seeing it. And your work is just so important to help be that iron, to help people be sharpened in those spaces and to highlight the importance of having support. Some people are so hurt and jaded that they don't even want the support, because they've been rejected in so many spaces. And I think you mentioned it earlier. You can go far alone, but if you want to go quickly, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go with someone else. And it's just so important to have that. So this work that you're doing is just so incredible.
Absolutely. And just on that note, my final question is, what kind of services do you offer in leadership, and how can those interested get in touch with you?
Yeah, so my passion is one-on-one coaching. It really is my zone of genius. So working one-on-one with me is life-changing. Just, I've got lots of testimonials. This work is life-changing. So the one-on-one coaching, you can contact me either on my website, jessicalightbourne.com, or you can follow me on Brave Review University and slide into my DMs. And you can even WhatsApp me on 734-7344. And then I am doing a lot of workshops. I'm doing a lot of workshops in terms of in actually looking at justice, equity, diversity, inclusion, belonging. What does that look like? How can you create a workplace of dignity and joy? What does that look like when you're looking at it intersectionally? What does it look like when you're actually not just giving the lip service? So I have a couple of online courses that are coming up. And then I have my Messy Mondays, which is also geared towards women. It's a group coaching program. It's launching November 13th. It's also online. I haven't talked about this a lot, but a lot of the work that I do is around play. I use a lot of applied improv. We need some levity. We need some fun. We need some creativity when we're talking about things that are quite heavy, right? Especially if people are shut down. Most of us are walking around traumatized for many, many reasons. We need to be able to create community, right? We need, like Perry said, we need these communities of belonging where we can actually get real so that we can shift.
Indeed. Gotta wrap it up, but the name, I went on LinkedIn, it was Catherine Duffy, and someone, Bernie girl, says Kathy
Duffy, yeah.
Of Black women leadership in Bermuda here. Kathy Oldboy says, great job, Jessica. Jessica, honestly, thank you once again for having this conversation with us. I'm happy to know, and just me growing up, I didn't see many Black women in leadership positions. In fact, mostly what I saw was white men in these positions. That's what I genuinely saw. Now, as I've gotten into the workspace, I'm just being frank here, I see more white women in leadership positions.
Yeah, that's why, and that's why I'm saying Black women too, right? Because when you're talking about, this is the thing that really bugs me a lot of the time is, we're talking about equity, and we're not even talking about equity. That's the thing, right? We're talking about diversity and inclusion. Well, what does that look like? Is it intersectional? Where's the word equity in this? Where's the word justice in this? If I don't see the word equity, I'm like, no, you're not there.
No, equality without equity and justice is not beneficial to Black people.
Yeah.
To be honest. But,
it's a factor, truthfully. Yeah.
No, this is awesome. We could literally have this conversation.
We sure could.
And we definitely got to revisit this and continue the conversation, go more in depth, because it's a lot more that can be said. And I really just hope, when we have these conversations, that someone's inspired and empowered to believe that there's a space for them and that they can connect with people like yourself and grow. I'm going to be honest. I'm attracted to Black women leaders. Maya's an entrepreneur in her own right. Perry's an entrepreneur, Sencha. So that's the kind of people I intentionally surround myself with. It keeps me going. I was raised by Black women. So my mom always had a hustle right to her death. It's a way of life for me to see it. I was happy that I was able to see it as I was growing up, my aunts and so on. So thank you for what you're doing. I don't know if these spaces were around back then for many, but I'm happy and look forward to having a conversation with you in the future as well. All the best.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
All righty. Jessica Lightbourne, folks, if you appreciated the conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share it in your WhatsApp chats. To me, those are the kind of conversations our community needs to have. And you need to know that there's resources. There are resources. She is a resource if you know someone who may need it. We're going to take our final break, come back, wrap it up. Perry and I will share our final thoughts on today's show, and we're going to do the daily play. See if she gets this one right. It's a remember when. She might need your assistance, folks. It's a year.
Hi, welcome to ER Fisheries. I'm Jalen Steed, store manager and trained chef, and I'm here to help you with all of your food needs. Let's talk about why you should come and check out ER Fisheries. We offer the widest range of specialty meats and seafood items at a price point that will absolutely fit your budget. As a chef, I'm able to answer all of your food questions, help you come up with meal ideas, and generally guide you in the right direction. You'll get a custom shopping experience unlike any other food store in Bermuda, where we'll cater to your needs and provide you with excellent customer service. Where else can you get quality cooking advice and quality products? I look forward to helping you with all your meal ideas.
Righty, thanks again to Jessica Lightbourne. Go check her out, man. Really important conversation, community conversation there. Make sure you give us a like, a love. Make sure you share that conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Trust me, not every conversation needs to be an argument about politics or even sports, if you're like me. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Madicals, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring we can have these conversations on a daily basis. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Harry, are you ready?
Yeah, let's see.
All right. Folks, I literally just picked this question out of the box earlier, so I didn't intentionally look for it. Here we go. Remember when? Help her out if she needs your help. In what year did World War I end?
I don't
know. No guess? Just take a
shot. No guess. I don't know.
I don't think the audience knows either. Let's see.
Someone said 1917, 1918.
She got it. Rosalind Famous. What? How do you know that stuff? Like, that's random info.
That's quick.
Wow.
I don't know. That's just not my ministry, you know.
But no, like Polly Rich said 1917, but how do you all know that? I'm honestly,
that could have been a typo for Rich. They could have hit it quick because they came in quick.
1918. Wow, you all are good at this. So yeah, 1918.
Now I will never forget, but that's just not my ministry, you know. I
see.
Yeah.
I see. That was an interesting one because I honestly, folks, I wouldn't have known that if I would have probably said the 40s.
Yeah. I feel like only history buffs or people who had to look that up for something specific know that. The average person does not know that, you know?
Call me average.
There's a lot of things I could say, but I won't say. I don't want to be controversial, but I stay out of certain people's business. I just, you know.
She stays out that war stuff, folks. Let's wrap. So final thoughts. This morning's discussion, Morgan's point, and then the conversation with Jessica.
Yes. So I guess the space I'm in with Morgan's point is definitely a hybrid. And I really do believe that we should get public feedback on this. I think that's really important. Hold some focus groups, see what sticks, and see how it financially makes sense for the country. I do like the idea of having somewhere to grow some produce for us so we can import less. But we definitely want to make Bermuda more attractive. And I really do feel like we should package our culture in a non-exploiting way, and sell it. There are ways. So many other Caribbean countries are doing that. So talk to the public and hire the right people. Move the wrong people out of place and hire the right people. They might not come with all of the extra credentials and all of those things that look good on paper, but there are people out there with a wealth of creativity and strategy for specific things. Find those people and put them in place, and you will see the right payoff. So that's my thoughts on that. And then with Jessica, that is right up my alley. I have run my business for the last 13 years. April will make 14, and it's a journey, you know, finding people that you can collaborate with that are not in competition with you. People get close to you and they are competing with you, and you find that out afterwards, and it's weird. You know, it's just like having people who see you for real, who can celebrate you while you are celebrating them is just so important. And then having a space to pull out those things in you that you may be unaware of to walk in your God-given gifts, I think is important because we have them for a reason. And there's work for you to do attached to your gift. So those are my thoughts.
Indeed. I echo what you're saying. And you just made me think of something regarding Morgan's point. Maybe I love the hybrid model and even incorporating some land for people to grow, not just for Bermudians and themselves, but also to be entrepreneurs and sell it to maybe those the cruise ships and sell it to some of the businesses in the area. I just think there's so much opportunity. So I like that. My hope is that someone in government takes the advice and actually engages the public on what should be done with that space. In regards to Jessica, like I said, I'm happy that something like this exists. We know this. We know that there's a problem seeing Black women in leadership. I saw when the affirmative action was struck down in the States, there were a lot of people saying, who cares? It only benefited white women anyway. I don't have steps to say whether that's true or not. But when I look at certain, I purposely, when I have time, I will go on companies, look at their boards, I would look at their C-suites and so on. And I'm not quite sure that that's what DEI is supposed to look like, just including.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
so
appeasement in a lot of spaces, just to appease. And I think that's what Jessica was speaking to when you mentioned, the murder of George Floyd. Like, it's appeasement. Let's quiet down the masses. Let's do what we think we should do in this moment. But we don't really have plans on changing our structure.
Correct.
Which is why so many women leave those spaces afterwards, because they're not getting to do the real work. And it's like cosplay. Like, let's just dress them up in C-suite, but they're not really going to do any work. And that is really offensive.
Correct. And to me, that's where you feel like it leads to nowhere for a certain group. But folks, we want to get more women in leadership positions, not to stroke egos, but because, to quote Perry, they're the right people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? Just my final thought, because I think Jessica mentioned this and it's so important. She's creating her own table, and that takes a little bit more grit. It takes a little bit more patience and tenacity. But if you can create your own space and then bring people along with you, that is a game changer, because nobody can take that from you. So if you can do that.
I've been saying this for ages. I literally had someone sit on this show talking about, I want a seat at the table. Man, ain't nobody want to sit at nobody else's table in 2023. If they don't want you there, go and create your own. So and let me be clear. If they don't want you there, just go create your own. We have the skills. You got some daily inspiration for us, Pete?
I think it's in the vein with this. Be your own inspiration. I mean, I've said it last week. I'll keep saying it. My strength comes from Jesus. I am a Christian. So this conversation we had earlier about purpose and gifts, that's just right up my alley, because I think so many people outside of God, and this is just my take, outside of God, they don't really know where they fit, because they don't really understand their purpose and why they're here, and why they have these natural abilities. So I think tapping into that, however that looks for you. I'm not a Bible thumper, but I am a Christian, and that's where my faith and everything stems from. But if you could tap into who you really are and understand the power that you have, you will be unstoppable, and then you will be a magnet for the opportunities and for the right people. And you will also be able to see who's not for you.
I like that last part, especially. Folks, that's your EL Fish Daily Inspiration. Please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Perry Furbett. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a great day. We are out. Peace.